All right. So this is my first video recording on my YouTube channel, Monkey D Trader. And for this video, I'm just going to break down how I go through the time frames with a top-down approach using ICT concepts to kind of find my targets for the following week. So we'll start with the monthly outlook for now. And normally on the monthlies, everything's been balanced. So like that's an FVG here, a fair value gap in the form of a BISI. That's what ICT calls it, buy side inefficiency. No, buy side something, sell side inefficiency. But yeah, normally on a monthly these get filled quite quickly. So we have unfilled space down here, but it's so far away from price, I'm not going to annotate it because it's just not where we are trading at the moment. This month has had a huge down wick and there's 6 days left. So that's a bit interesting actually. And then we took this sell side here, so I'll just annotate that. And so when we go into the lower time frames, I'll be able to see how far I actually dug into that sell side. So monthly sell side liquidity. Oops. April. I'll just call it April low. April, yeah. Cool. So let's go down to the weekly. Again, that's that part of that wick on the monthly chart. So what ICT says also is that wicks are gaps. So I'm just gonna put a fib on that and calculate the consequent encroachment. Oh, where is it? There you go. Cool. Alright, so I'm just going to annotate that for future reference. 80.5. And then we'll make that red. And that's the weekly. Lock that in. 1787.5. Alright, so we've got that accurately annotated. And then let's just label it. That is the consequent encroachment of the weekly discount. Alright, and we've left a nice FVG here on the weekly. So we'll annotate that, weekly FVG. And then we've got one above. So now, as we have started from a top-down approach, we can start to narrow down in time frames and find out which PD arrays are starting to overlap. Let me just put this in. So this is a weekly inversion fair value gap. Cool. So that's also a balanced price range. So we pass through it and then back through. So that's balanced. So, but because there's two FVGs, essentially the FVG that starts from here to here, and then the FVG that starts from here to here, but this portion of it, the price is likely to draw back to that area. And we also have this draw on price of inefficiency, so that wants to go up there and fill that in. So let's go down to the daily. Right, so that's that sell side on the monthly chart. And actually, so if we look, hold on, I just like to have these on the actual days and that. It's just nicer to look at. Okay, so the low of this candle is here, this number. So the low of that is 17,351, and the low of this candle is 17,374. So we did go through that by about 20, 23 handles, so that's fair enough. To me, it looks shallow on the daily chart. I feel like it's probably going to go down there again. Okay, so there's the weekly FVG above and the weekly FVG below, and the weekly inversion FVG. Okay, it's not on settlement. Okay, cool. So where we have been reacting off for the past few days is actually this level here, and this is a new day opening gap. So I'm going to annotate that. New day opening gap, and that's the high, and that is the low. New day opening gap low. Because the new day opening gap is over 20 handles, it's actually about 63. I'm gonna measure the halfway point because that's often, as you can see, it's like a sensitive area. Let's put that in at, I can't even see what that is. Let's put it there, it's good enough. Dotted, and let's annotate that. C.E. Opening gap. So this is the current framework we're working with. Thursday, Friday, close. Okay, so we've also got a new week opening gap here, which is where we close on Friday and open on the Monday. Oh well, we open on Sunday, but yeah, New York time I'm working with. So let's put those in. One that's solid, and I think it's that one. Oh, how do I clone it? Control and drag, that's what I did. Okay, whatever. New week opening up low, and the date was 22nd. Cool. Now that is more than 20 handles. So I'm gonna measure that again and put in the consequent encouragement. There. Oh. 0.7. That's the new week opening gap that we reacted off to give this bullish move back into the new day opening gap. When we drop down in time frames, we'll see how these levels have been influencing price on the lower time frames, like the 15 and the hourly. So, alright, so this is new week opening gap for the 19th. Alright, even though this one's over 20 handles, I'm not going to measure the halfway point because it's quite easy to guesstimate where it is. What have we got here? That's just a new day opening gap as well. Right, so let's start annotating these FVGs that overlap with the weekly. Cool, so this that needs to go grey. So that's a daily FVG, and quite interestingly, I think that these PD arrays can often be broken down into consequent encroachment, which is 50%, and the halfway points between those, so like 75%, 25%. So I'm just going to do that. So that 25% of that FVG lines up nicely with the consequent encroachment of the daily FVG, which basically just indicates to me that it's going to be a stronger draw on price, but also a good level to look at for maybe a reversal or some sort of retracement. So I'll just have that in mind because you can kind of see it like without the I don't need to annotate it. You can see that it's about 75% of that FVG weekly. Cool. So let's annotate. I'm going to annotate this one. And that consequent encroachment of this daily FVG lines up very nicely with the high of the most recent U-week opening gap, which is beautiful. So let's put that in daily FVG. One thing that does get confusing is that sometimes I don't define whether it's a bearish or a bullish FVG, so I'm just going to do that so I don't get confused later. And the inversion, I color them yellow just because it's just an easier way to annotate. That's also bearish, so put a minus sign in front of it. Cool. And then we'll put in this daily here, which is important, I guess. I'll just have it here. I don't want it overlaying too much. So another bearish daily FVG. I'm more interested in the weekly because the low of that weekly overlap, or well, it touches on this buy side liquidity at the top of this candle. So let's annotate that. To be clear, I am actually bearish for going into like October, November, I'm bearish because of what price action is showing me, but also like seasonal tendencies. I'm not opposed to it going up to take these liquidity areas, but I think this is the last line in the sand, this FVG, before it starts to fall back down into these inefficiencies to fill them out. And what is that? That's a new week opening gap. So yeah, it's got a lot of stuff to go down for, including liquidity, which we'll see soon on the 4-hour and 1-hour. Okay, so I'm happy with my annotations so far for the daily chart, unless I'm missing something. Oh, wait. I feel like there's FVG. Oh, not FVG, inefficiency. Thursday, Friday. Okay, it's not important. So let's go down to the 4-hour chart. Alright, this is where it starts to get a bit annoying because I've already got so much stuff on here. It's starting to get a bit ugly. So let's bring that back. Let's line it up with that. Okay, so we're working inside this bearish daily FVG. We closed outside of it on the 4-hour, came back down. So, okay, where have we gone to? So this right here indicates to me we've had 3 drives higher, and then we've broke down aggressively with displacement on 4-hour, closing below this low and this low, leaving behind a strong FVG here. So that's 3 drives higher, breakdown, FVG. So going into next week, I would expect price to continue falling from this FVG. If it doesn't, then I think we could see a movement up into trendline liquidity and then into this FVG where the buy side liquidity is, which seems pretty juicy. If it does that, I reckon if it does that, we'd see an aggressive drop after. Okay, so let me just bring this back even more. Just put it there. Okay, so Friday. So that's the new week opening gap here, which we've closed above. Okay, let's go into the 1-hour. So straight away my eye draws to that level there. 1, 2, 3 lows in very close proximity to each other. So that's obvious sell side. And it's also the high of the weekly bullish FVG, which is beautiful. Okay. And we have the new day opening gap. I'm just going to go back to the weekly to check if I missed any new week opening gaps up here. And I think we're all right. Back down to the 1-hour. Okay, so we can see that in a 4-hour sense, we actually haven't closed above that consequent encroachment, which is a good sign for bearishness going forward. We do have trendline liquidity buy side and buy side up there and sell side here. But because of how aggressively we broke down after doing this 3 drives higher, I'm more inclined to think we go lower next week. Yeah, that reaction, because I remember watching this actually, so let's go to the 15. I think initially it went higher first. Yeah, there is. So we spike to fill in these areas here. So after this drop down, we basically were chugging along trying to fill out these FVGs here and take this buy side liquidity. So it does that. It doesn't leave much of an FVG, it closes in a lot of it, but the reaction of the new day opening gap is pretty clean. So yeah, as you can see, the body's respecting the new day opening gap, and we fall aggressively, leaving this 15-minute fair value gap in here, which actually closes above but then falls back into. So again, we have to see how this reacts when the market opens. We find support at this bullish 15-minute FVG, so we might actually be going for buy side. We just have to see how the market opens and how it trades. So let me go back to the 1 hour. So we've got the 4 hour. Back to the 1 hour. Oh, let's go 15. So that 15, so we've got a single pass through on the new week opening gap, and it closes above, and then it finds support near consequent encroachment, creates 3 equal lows. It then sweeps those lows into this FVG and then goes further up. So let's see how that looks on a smaller time frame. And this one. Cool. So it's a lot clearer here. This is the 15. That's the 15. So on a 5-minute sense, we've touched this new week opening gap, found support. Well, that's actually a much larger FVG on a 5-minute here. So this buy side is taken. Oh. Buy side taken. New day opening gap low provides resistance. Strong aggressive drop below. We close below the initial push up that swept liquidity, which really indicates to me strong bearishness, regardless of whether we've closed above this 5-minute FVG or not. That indicates to me strong bearishness. And for the same reasons on the 15-minute chart, after this drop, why we drew up into this area here, where there were only single pass-throughs. There's one, it's another single pass-through on the buy side, another single pass-through on the sell side. We draw up into that to fill that out, which is why we're consolidating that area. And then if we drop down to the 5-minute chart, we've got the same formation here. I can't remember what it's called, but I just know that this formation draws price back into it to consolidate it or to use it as a springboard to take liquidity under or above, depending which direction this is facing. So yeah, I'll be looking for that next week. So I'll just note that as sell side as well. Oh, that's what I forgot. Oh no, I didn't. Did I? No, I didn't. Okay, cool. All right. So I think we've done all we need to in terms of structural analysis and reading where price is likely to gravitate towards next week just based solely on structure. So we've got buy side, we'll go annotate that as well. Okay, buy side, sell side, and then, all right, you know what? Let's just do it. Come on. Cool. So we've got these areas here, and both, as you can see, obviously one borders the bearish weekly FVG, one borders the bullish weekly FVG. So we're gonna have to see how the market opens and how it trades, and that will indicate to us where it's more likely to draw to first, before maybe rotate and then go in the opposite direction. The one thing I can do at this point in time is to look at DXY. Right, so that's quite interesting. We've got a huge sell side, a bearish FVG. Let's go on the weekly chart. Yeah, so we've got inside this weekly chart, we've got that huge bearish FVG. We've also just taken the sell side liquidity under that, right here. So that's been taken. We have equal lows here, which is likely the next draw. However, I remember watching this leg and I thought we will be going into this FVG, which it didn't. So maybe after this, it could keep going. We'll see. Let's go to the 4 hour. So all I'm doing is looking at DXY to kind of see where we are likely to draw to on a higher time frame basis, just so that I could give myself more information in regards to Nasdaq. So in my head, I'm thinking we've just taken that major liquidity pool where that red line is, and we've left a huge 4 hour FVG, including all these efficiencies up here, which have only had one direction of delivery, which is sell side. We've got loads of equal highs up here, and obviously these beautiful equal highs there. So again, this just goes with my bearishness going into next week. We've purged sell side, which means we're likely to go for buy side next, if not at least fill in this FVG to some degree, which would indicate lower prices on NQ, looking for these sell side objectives. And that is how I do my analysis for NQ. I also take a look at, what is it? I think it's daily effects. No, that's not it. Forex Factory, that's it. Forex Factory. And right, Saturday, no, what am I doing? Tomorrow. Monday. So medium and high impact. Apply. So Monday, not much. Consumer confidence on Tuesday. CPI for Australian dollar Wednesday. Thursday, unemployment claims, that's big. Consumer confidence is big. So Tuesday we've got big news, and what was that? Yeah, Tuesday we've got big news. Thursday we've got big news, and Friday big news. Okay. Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday. Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday. Cool. Sometimes I do annotate news events, but I don't think I will for this week. Oh, that's interesting. So on this new week open, whenever it opens on Sunday, the consequent encroachment of that wick lines up nicely with that buy side liquidity. So I won't be surprised if we see that taken before we go for our sell side objectives. Right, and that's me done. Thank you guys for listening, and I hope you learned something that might help you in your trading. Obviously, all of this analysis doesn't do anything for your executions, but at least it gives you a bigger picture on where we might be going. Oh, I didn't put this weekly inversion. Cool, so we'll keep that in mind as well. We have a weekly inversion fair value gap here, and that also lines up with that buy side liquidity. It's also the high of the weekly inversion. So that seems like a very strong level we could expect a reversal on to come down and fill in this weekly FVG to some extent. All right. Thank you guys for watching. Bye-bye.